Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra today with Tim Forshee here on John's Briefs. I want to talk to you all about an interesting video that we had. A couple dudes that stopped a vicious armed robber and then tried to take her into custody, and the granny robber was able to get away from them. And I want to talk out of that about citizens' arrests.
There we go.
Firearms Legal Protection is who I trust to help me after a use of force incident. If you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, you can attend our monthly Active Self-Protection training seminars for free. Check out all they offer to their members at the link below. What a crazy video.
It's almost like it was scripted by a Hollywood writer, wasn't it? I mean, really silly, yeah. But at the same time, not at all silly, you know?
Right, serious as a heart attack,
yeah.
and also hilarious.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, last week's John's Briefs, people, said we're having a fun time with me because I was talking about, if somebody's coming after you with a knife, it's one thing when they have ability. If it's your 85-year-old neighbor with a walker that's like, you messed with my trash can for the last time and I'm gonna cut you deep, and you're like, come on, Granny, get out of here, that's not an actual deadly threat.
This is a quick aside, but it just made me think of this. The only time I've ever had to ask for a police escort to leave a courtroom was a divorce case that I was handling 20 years ago. My client was in her mid-80s and her husband was in his early 90s.
Oh boy.
And they'd been married for over 50 years. And I said, why are you getting divorced now? And she said, well, my great-grandkids are out of the house now. That was her explanation.
Okay,
yeah.
Well.
Her husband was a concentration camp survivor, and he was just a real handful. This guy was a real problem. And as we walked out of the courtroom after one of the divorce hearings, he assaulted me. He literally walked up to me and started doing this.
And I'm gonna get you.
And I'm not making this up. And I'm like, I really don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I mean, so I just walked back to the courtroom and asked for the deputies to come out and escort us down to our car. And I thought, I'm either the biggest wuss or the biggest worrywart, but yeah, I mean, it's an odd situation. Yeah, nothing funny about it. In hindsight, it's funny, but yeah, weird.
Yeah, well, you're going, come on. Anyways, and so in this case, this woman, I'm not elderly, didn't look like, but shows up with
I would say she's probably in her 70s, wouldn't you say?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And shows up with a replica gun. Guy takes it from her, and then they try to hold her, but she eventually gets away from them.
She's a slippery one.
Yeah, I guess. So talk to me about the legal side of citizens arrest.
Well, I have a requirement, John. Whenever you say the word citizens arrest, you have to use the Andy Griffith Show pronunciation of Gomer Pyle's version, which is citizens arrest.
Arrest.
So it's arrest.
Okay.
So it is legal in most states. It's legal in Arizona. And in my opinion, it's one of the dumbest things a human being can do. I just don't understand why you'd ever do it. I really don't. If she's continuing to pose an immediate, serious threat to a human life, then you're justified using lethal force to stop that. If she's not, if she's trying to get away, like you literally said, practically on her walker, then she's not, you knew it was a fake gun, you've recovered the gun, I assume you probably determined it was fake by now, she's leaving, I would just let her go. I would follow her out, I would maybe write down the license plate number of her car or the Uber that she gets into, or be able to tell the officer she's walking, southwest on 7th Street. And then at that point, my involvement would be over. I mean, I don't know why anybody would put hands on anybody, let alone a septuagenarian, and try to subdue them. Because what happens when you break her hip?
Right.
Word gets out that she had a fake gun, and you body slammed her and broke her hip and put her in the hospital, and she got pneumonia and died. I mean, there are just so many adverse consequences for what?
Well, and every state that I'm aware of that has some kind of black letter law about citizens arrest says something about using the minimum amount of force necessary.
Correct.
And boy, we start getting in.
And who determines what that is?
Yeah, that's where it is.
A jury, 18 months from now. That's it.
And you go, okay, wait a minute. In many cases, I think you'll be okay. If you go, oh, okay, wait a minute. I draw a gun at some guy that threatened me with a knife, and he puts his hands up, and I go, get on the ground, and he does.
So let me ask you, let me be devil's advocate on that. How long is it going to take the police to respond to that?
Yeah, 5-10 minutes, and now they show up, and I've got a gun on somebody.
I wish you could say 5 or 10 minutes. Nobody's been shot. There's no blood flowing.
28
These
minutes.
days, yeah, it could easily be a half an hour.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I don't know if you've ever really thought about this, but how long is a half an hour when you are holding a gun on somebody?
Oh, forever.
I mean, I remember we used to run 5-minute wind sprints when I was in college football, and it didn't sound like a big deal at all. That was the longest 5 minutes of my entire life.
Yeah.
I can't imagine my hands quivering and sweat running down my brow, and I just can't imagine standing like that for 20 minutes. And how about this? While I'm there going through all that and going through the mental challenges of staying alert and keeping this thing in control, how about when the guy on the ground goes, hey dude, if you let me go right now, You'll never see me or hear from me again. If you wait for the cops to get here and they arrest me, I'm going to bond out tomorrow. I'm going to rape your kids. I'm going to be back at your house. I'm going to burn your house down. You think that maybe, possibly, you might accidentally pull the trigger?
Well, that could be a challenge.
I mean, there's just so many ways this can go sideways, right?
And remember, mission, right? Mission drives our tactics, our techniques, and procedures. And so what's our mission as a private citizen? To break contact with a deadly threat or a physical threat, for that matter. And so, you know, I know plenty of folks that's that whole chasing a fleeing felon thing, right? Let them go. That you won.
If I just saw somebody shoot John and they're running away, I'm going to shoot him.
Thank you.
My days of chasing people are probably quite numbered at this point. But I'm certainly, at that point, I know that they pose a grave risk to civilization. I know that they just shot my friend John. I know they can shoot somebody else, and that must be stopped. But if I see him grab John's watch and take off, I'm going to try to get the best description that I can and call the police. I'm not going to be some hero and chase somebody down. You hear stories all the time of people, a security guard tries to stop somebody who's shoplifting, and they get shot. What are you doing? I mean, shoplifting has gotten way out of control in this country. We've got to figure out a way to fix this. But some $14 an hour security guard risking their life to save something is just not the answer. So.
Well, and if somebody presents themselves as a deadly threat, I draw a gun and point it at them, or come to a low ready position or something like that, and they go, oh no, and they run off. Cool, I won. Let them go. Now,
what if they just murdered somebody though?
Now, again, if they immediately just murdered somebody with that knife,
and you watched them do it.
I'm going to shoot that guy all day long.
There you go.
But again, at what point, right? If they're standing over him after having murdered somebody and I'm like, oh no, and they've dropped the knife and they're sitting there, covered in his blood, well, maybe I don't. So facts always matter.
But I mean, if I see somebody slash your throat and they still have the knife and they're running towards a crowd
I'm going
of
to
people,
shoot that guy.
I'm going to stop them,
Yeah. But again, my big thing here is as a private citizen, I don't take people into custody.
Nope.
That's not my mission.
I always tell people, if you want to do citizen's arrest, try to get into the police department. I'll write you a reference letter. Okay, you might make a great cop, but this is not for you. You're not a vigilante.
And I think that some folks, and I get it. There's good people here on this channel that say, hey, wait a minute, John, but if we don't hold them, then they'll go do it to somebody else.
I get it. God bless you. But I mean, the world needs more people like you, but the risks you're putting yourself at are just severe. If you do a risk-benefit analysis, there's possible benefit. Clearly, we want society to be a better society. We want bad people to be in jail. But the cost risk is just so high. So,
that's where it is. Do the risk-benefit analysis and you realize, dude, I am hanging my whole future out here on the line.
That's right.
That then, okay, so if they've given up, or, again, if a guy's holding a gun and I go drop that gun and he's threatening somebody with it and he doesn't, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to, you get one opportunity for that and then we're going to guns, right? We're going to find out who's better with them. In this idea, though, of, he dropped it, put his hands up, quite frankly, it's okay to go, get out of here.
Yeah.
Run. You better run right now. Get away from me. Run off, dude. And
if they won't, then you can. You can retreat.
That's right.
Yeah, get out of there.
If you ain't, I am. Let's go when we're gone. So where this goes the worst horribly wrong is in a case like we saw with the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And the McMichaels and William Roddy Bryan chase this guy who they think has committed a crime. He looks like somebody who has maybe, we think, stolen from our property. And then they get in their car and he's run off and they chase him for a significant period of time. They have guns with them and get out with the shotgun. He decides, Ahmaud does in that moment, I can't keep running from these guys. Tries to grab the shotgun and ends up getting shot for it. And listen, those guys, they live in a gated community for the rest of their natural lives.
Yes, they sure do.
Right?
That's one way to describe it.
And not only that, so not only did they get convicted in state court of murder, they got convicted in federal court of multiple hate crimes. So even if, God forbid, their state charges get tossed by some crazy thing, they're just going to get transferred to Club Fed.
Yep.
And so, listen, that idea of we got to go chase this guy down in order to take him into custody for the cops, it could literally cost you the rest of your life, particularly if you make bad decisions and end up in a gunfight that's not a defensive gunfight.
And even if it was the right person and it was the bad guy, when he turns around and shoots you in the noggin, how'd that work out for you?
It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I hope you get it. When we start talking about, is it legal? Yeah, it's legal. There's plenty of legal things to do that are just dumb as a box of rocks. And you shouldn't do them. And I think that citizen's arrest is one of them. So
how'd you pronounce that?
Citizen's arrest. That's right. We got to get the Barney Fife version.
Got to do the Gomer Pyle.
Gomer Pyle version. That's it. Guys, don't do it. Tim, appreciate the knowledge.
Always. Thanks, buddy.